question on my part is that can you really be that short-sighted, right? And I have to imagine, I've been a defense attorney for 17 years. I know the defense attorneys in his case, and I know that we strongly admonish our clients to not speak about any sort of matter, such as, the litigation of the case, witnesses, who you're hiring, etc. Because it's all free game, right? And we say do not talk on those phone calls, period. And so the fact that this statement was made, as an attorney or a defense attorney, I would want to know what the surrounding framework of that conversation got to it. And if federal assistance.
In 1996, Tupac Shakur was already a legend in the making. His journey from poetry-loving Baltimore student to a rap icon who could make headlines across the country was one of talent, controversy, and contradictions. Tupac was an artist whose words reflected social issues, police brutality, and the struggles of the urban experience. But his life was also marked by intense personal battles, legal troubles, and a notorious feud with East Coast rappers, most notably the notorious B.I.G. Beyond his raw talent, Tupac's activism and provocative lyrics made him a voice for a generation. But his personal life, marked by disputes with law enforcement, confrontations with other rappers, and an attack in a New York recording studio that nearly took his life, created a layered and complex personality that fascinated fans and fueled his fame. On September 7, 1996, Tupac arrived in Las Vegas with his label executive and friend, Suge Knight. They were in town to watch a highly anticipated boxing match between Mike Tyson and Bruce Seldon at the MGM Grand. The night started with excitement, but it would soon take a dark and tragic turn. After the fight, an altercation broke out between Tupac and a gang member named Orlando Anderson in the casino lobby. This confrontation would later play a critical role in the events that followed. Shortly after leaving the MGM Grand, Tupac and Suge drove through Las Vegas in a black BMW, heading to a nightclub. As they stopped at a red light, a white Cadillac pulled up alongside them. In an instant, shots rang out, and Tupac was hit 4 times, once in the chest, once in the arm, and twice in the abdomen. Suge Knight was grazed but managed to drive away from the scene. Tupac was rushed to the hospital, where he would remain in critical condition for 6 days before succumbing to his injuries on September 13, 1996. He was just 25 years old. The investigation into Tupac's murder was marked by confusion, missed opportunities, and controversy. Witnesses were uncooperative, evidence was mishandled, and potential suspects were overlooked. The police initially suspected that the shooting was gang-related, likely a result of Tupac's scuffle with Orlando Anderson earlier that night. Anderson himself was questioned, but was later released due to lack of evidence. As time passed, the lack of answers led to numerous theories, each more complex than the last. Some believed that Suge Knight was involved, as Tupac had expressed a desire to leave Death Row Records, a move that could have financially impacted Suge's empire. Others speculated that the East Coast-West Coast rap rivalry played a role, possibly involving Sean Diddy Combs and Tupac's former friend and rival, the notorious B.I.G. There were even claims that the FBI or other government agencies were involved, viewing Tupac as a threat due to his influence on young Black Americans and his vocal criticism of systemic issues. Despite extensive media coverage and various theories, the case went cold. Investigators struggled to find reliable witnesses, and the Las Vegas Police Department eventually moved on, leaving Tupac's murder unsolved. Many fans and loved ones felt that justice was never served, and the mystery only deepened as years passed without answers. The death of Tupac Shakur left an indelible impact on the music industry, hip-hop culture, and countless fans worldwide. His music, which was filled with passion, raw emotion, and social commentary, continued to inspire and influence future generations of artists. The East Coast-West Coast rivalry, which had reached a fever pitch at the time of his death, subsided as his murder and that of the notorious B.I.G. who was killed in a similar drive-by shooting 6 months later, highlighted the tragic consequences of violence in the hip-hop community. Tupac's legacy has endured not only through his music, but also through the persona he created. He became a symbol of resistance, complexity, and contradiction. His songs, poetry, and public statements addressed issues of inequality, police brutality, and self-reflection, remaining relevant decades after his death. Despite the mystery surrounding his murder, Tupac's words and spirit continue to resonate with fans who feel a deep connection to his message. In the absence of closure, fans and journalists continue to investigate his life and death, keeping his memory alive and ensuring that his story remains one of the most compelling unsolved mysteries in modern pop culture. Tupac Shakur's life had always seemed larger than life, a blend of brilliance, danger, and passion that made him unforgettable. By 1996, he had become not just a rapper, but a revolutionary figure whose words pierced through the collective consciousness. With each verse, he painted the realities of street life, critiqued systemic injustices, and explored the complexities of identity. But with fame came scrutiny, conflict, and a bitter rivalry that would ultimately lead to tragedy. September 7, 1996, was supposed to be a celebration. The Tyson fight was a high-profile event, drawing celebrities and fans from all over the country, and Tupac and Suge Knight arrived to a flurry of media attention. They were there to support Tyson, and after his swift victory, Tupac was in high spirits. But in the minutes that followed, a chance encounter would set off a series of events that forever altered the course of hip-hop history. In the MGM Grand Lobby, Tupac crossed paths with Orlando Anderson, a member of the Southside Crips. The two had a history. Anderson had allegedly tried to rob a member of Tupac's entourage earlier in the year, and Tupac, impulsive and angry, confronted him. Surveillance footage would later reveal a scuffle breaking out as punches were thrown, drawing the attention of security and onlookers. To some, it was just another celebrity skirmish, but in the world of gang rivalry, it was a spark that couldn't be ignored. Hours later, as Tupac and Suge drove through the Las Vegas Strip in a black BMW, the events of that night came back to haunt them. Stopping at a red light, they found themselves beside a white Cadillac. Before they could react, the silence of the night shattered as gunshots rang out. Tupac was struck 4 times. The Cadillac sped off, vanishing into the neon-lit streets. The world held its breath as Tupac was rushed to the hospital. He had survived multiple attempts on his life before, and fans clung to hope that he would pull through. But 6 days later, on September 13, he succumbed to his injuries. The news sent shockwaves through the music world, leaving a void that could never be filled. As the investigation into Tupac's murder unfolded, it became clear that answers would not come easily. The initial focus was on Orlando Anderson, given the earlier fight, and his connection to gang violence seemed to make him a likely suspect. But Anderson was released without charges, and the investigation stalled. Witnesses refused to speak, crucial evidence went unexamined, and the lack of cooperation hindered any progress. With no arrest, the case took on a life of its own in the form of theories and conspiracies. Some claimed that Suge Knight orchestrated the hit, fearing that Tupac would leave Death Row Records. Others believed it was part of the escalating feud with East Coast rappers, speculating that Diddy or other figures within the East Coast music scene might have been involved. More outlandish theories suggested that the government had a hand in silencing Tupac, viewing his influence as a threat to the status quo. As time passed, the mystery only grew, transforming Tupac into a figure of myth and martyrdom. His songs, posthumously released albums, and poetic reflections cemented his place as a cultural icon whose words carried the weight of prophecy. Changes, Hail Mary, and Keep Ya Head Up became anthems that transcended his life, immortalizing his voice in a way few artists ever achieve. Yet for those closest to him, the absence of justice remains a wound that refuses to heal. the case of Tupac's murder remains open, a haunting reminder of a life taken too soon. And as fans continue to revisit his music, dissect his lyrics, and ponder the mystery surrounding his death, the legacy of Tupac Shakur endures forever, enshrined as a beacon of defiance, complexity, and brilliance.